Oh. All right. Let's move along. So our main topic, and I don't know how much time we'll have left, but
I've got one though. I finally thought of one.
Great.
So.
Because, like I mentioned, because of the upcoming 20th anniversary of Image Comics, The Walking Dead, we also wanted to celebrate. And first of all, let me just show you. These are some of the variant covers that are like Walking Dead inspired for all the Image books that are going to be coming out in October.
Wow.
I really like the Creepshow one with
Yeah.
the homage.
Who's that artist? You know?
I'm not sure. I didn't get any of the information on the artist, but thanks for putting me in the spot, Josh.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, man. I would never ask questions again.
The Sacrificers, something
that looks
epic.
A bit like Magnolia.
That's what I was thinking too. On the left.
Yeah.
I don't think it is though.
No, I don't think so either. I don't know that Magnolia does anything outside of Dark Horse anymore. Maybe like DC Comics anywhere.
Yeah, he did a Batman recently, right? I feel like.
And then the ones that's really cool, like the whole Radiant Black family of books has this like connected covers throughout all their books. Well, I guess Radiant Black gets two because there are two Radiant spoilers. If you're not caught up with Radiant Black, there are two of them now running around. And then No One and the Dead Lucky and Rogue Sun. So yeah, really fun. I mean, if you like variant covers and Walking Dead homages, I think you're really gonna enjoy that. But what the prompt was for today was like, let's just talk about some of our favorite apocalyptic comics. Like, so Clay, I'll let you start since you have visuals.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I love Days of Future Past. First, it's 2 issues right after the right after the Dark Phoenix storyline. 141 is just one of the most iconic covers. I have that tattooed on my leg. That is my leg.
That's what the third picture is. It's not a variant cover.
It's not a variant cover of my leg. It
should be a variant cover. Why has Marvel not reached out yet? That'd be awesome.
Exactly. But
how long
even when you open,
do you remember how long that took to do?
It took 7 hours. It was three hours to outline, 3 hours to do color, and then 1 hour for cleanup. Man. Wow. Yeah, so that's like the second biggest tattoo I have, other than the Nightcrawler tattoo.
Cool.
And I think the next biggest tattoo I get when I can come into some money again will be a Man-Thing tattoo down my arm.
Nice.
Days of Future Past was one of my favorite stories as a kid because, like, growing up, you had like all the apocalyptic films. You had Mad Max, Road Warrior. You had all these, things that were thrown out as like, oh, when the world ends, it's going to be entertainment. Here's the movie. And I just ate up this storyline. I've revisited recently and see it in completely different eyes because I really got bummed that they hijacked the Days of Future Past for a Wolverine movie that should have been a Kitty Pryde movie.
Yeah, twice.
Right? Yeah, they just made it a giant bro movie. To me, the horror of it is a 15-year-old Kitty living in this apocalypse because she trades place with her younger self. And so it's just fascinating to see, like, if you saw the future, to what extremes would you go to make sure that it never happened? And I just burn his opening page of the way he works in the title in that apocalyptic setting is so great. There's nothing. Like right there, just Kitty trying to get across the city. And I mean, you could even say now, to some degree, we live in a I don't know, pre-apocalyptic. I mean, we're definitely living in a dystopian time.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that part is like when government is holding together the functions of society. That's it. Like, that's the edge that they're on. So they're using sentinels to enforce everything. You have to be tattooed if you're a mutant on your face, which gives Bishop such, a cool look. And when they undo that, I really hated that because Bishop was always cool with the tattoo because it reminded you where he came from.
Yeah.
Now with all the Krakoa stuff, he's reborn and those are gone. So it's like,
you gotta get tattoos again.
Yeah. My next favorite one is going to be Walking Dead. Like my favorite thing about Walking Dead is that this is what happens after the movie ends, when you have to just live in the apocalypse. And these are some of my favorite panels, like, Rick talking about being the Walking Dead, or just yelling it, because he understands that no matter what, if they die, they become, they live again as a dead person. The prison, one of my favorites during that run, like, the governor was so much better in the comic than he was in the TV show. He was just more evil. They had to tone his character down.
They really did.
Yeah. Once you go back and reread that, like, the governor in the book was way better than the governor on the TV show, and he was still great. He wasn't as evil as the one in the comic.
The TV show version had a lot more charisma. I think a lot of it in part of the actor. I forget the name of the actor, but he had a lot more charisma.
David.
Sure. So I will say The Walking Dead is probably the longest probably the longest series I've ever read. It has 193 issues, and I've read all of David Morrissey, yeah. I've read all of The Walking Dead all the way to 193. So it's definitely the longest thing I've ever read. Because maybe Batman or something like that, but even then, I don't know if I've read all of it. So
contiguous story, right? Like
because they do so many renumberings and stuff. But we're getting close. Like, we are at 130 something with Batman, I think. So that could be the next one.
Yeah, there's a panel at the end of The Walking Dead. Well, it wasn't used in the comic, but the way he was originally going to end The Walking Dead was had the statue of Rick that was built in his honor, and then show time pass as more zombies invaded and took over. That it was just this constant wave of survival and being slaughtered.
So the opening of Futurama is like when he's frozen, you just see all of time like move in the background.
Because I guess as society rebuilt and groups got larger, there was more chance of the everything kind of breaking down again because I don't know if they ever explicitly said it in the comics. I know in the show they made it very explicit that we already, whatever that thing is that turns you into zombies, everyone already has it. Like at that point, it just doesn't trigger until you die. Like, that's kind of the spoilers for 20 years of show or whatever.
20 years 15 maybe.
Yeah, like that's how the first season ends. After they reach the CDC, they realize that there is no cure. You already have it. So
I just, so much about that is what I loved about zombie films, Romero films. You'd always get to the end and you're like, yeah, but then they still kind of have to keep living. Like, there's they hit, in some mindset you go, well, don't you develop a society? Well, I don't know, maybe society is the problem, because as they get larger, they do fall apart. They have more weaknesses as they add people to it. So it's like that argument, like, you're as strong as your weakest link. And then you have societies that just get rid of people who are handicapped or who can't contribute as much. And it gets very much like Negan's crew that was running everything. It's just, you'll always see the darkness of human nature. But the spectacle of empty roads, and I will admit, like, there's a lot of stuff that they do in the TV show that is fantastic special effects wise. Like, there's a scene where they decapitate and cut a zombie horde in half with some metal rope that they're able to trigger and cut them as they're moving down the highway. It's fucking amazing looking.
Yeah. Greg Nicotero, I mean, that's his bread and butter.
He's the man. Yeah. That
was a lot more of a gross analogy than I intended it for it to be. I think. If you want more Walking Dead, Tilly Walden's written 2 books. Clementine, who is a character that originated from the Telltale games.
The Telltale games, though.
Yeah,
the Telltale game. I still need to play it all the way through, but there is a cut of people that was put together when the original game first came out at the end of it, and it's just them finishing the game and bursting into tears, and it's just like player after player after player. So
question for the group, I think you guys have both played a little bit, at least, the Telltale games.
A smattering, but yeah.
Did you save Duck or not? Because that's the first choice. That's the first choice you have to do, because that informs. It's very early on, because it informs how Herschel's gonna treat you, because Duck is his kid, right?
Oh yeah. Okay, sure. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
I saved them. I think I didn't save them, and it went pretty badly after that.
I'm usually like, I'm just gonna guess I saved them, because that's kind of what I would do in a game. So,
okay, Josh, let's go to yours while Clay comes back, whatever he's doing.
Mine are both weird, because neither are really truly comics. So I'm kind of breaking the question here. I'm sorry.
So before you break the rules, let me ask you, because you did read one recently, and I thought you were really excited about it. Hard Eyes, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck.
Did you get through that book?
I did. Okay. It's also kind of a book that I feel like the ending kind of came out of left field, but not in a bad way necessarily.
Not in an excellent way.
Yeah. Well done, sir. I had totally forgotten about that. Yeah, that is probably my comic pick, would be Hard Eyes. Again, I think like most so I was saying before we started, I'm not a fan of post-apocalyptic stuff. It doesn't resonate with me, because I think at the heart of it is just so sad and depressing, kind of the human nature that Clay was talking about. But Hard Eyes starts off really strong. And again, it's not a bad book at all, but it kind of takes a hard right turn in the last couple of issues. But the art and the writing are fantastic. It starts off in San Antonio, which is where I spent my teenage years, and it's very clear the creators know San Antonio, because they're accurately drawing things like there's the big ball tower there, kind of like we have here in Dallas. There's a Riverwalk they go to, and it's pretty accurate. So anyway, yeah, just really, I'm glad you thought of that, Danny. I totally blanked on it. So so that's one. The other two, and one of these I'm honestly surprised Clay did not bring up. So the first one is, I've always liked the post-apocalyptic world of the Fallout games.
Oh.
And I think the reason why is because it tends to be a little more satirical. And I also like the kind of 1950s aesthetic that they give to it. I've always dug that world, and that's a world I don't mind spending time in, because that's feels
the kid that's going like this or whatever.
Pip-Boy. I first played Fallout 2 back in grad school. It was still not a new game then, even, but I've gone back periodically and played a bit of Fallout 1 and 2, the OG ones. I've never played 3. I just started 4, but I've been playing, probably the one I played the most is going to be Fallout 76. So I like that world. It's take the world of Walking Dead and just make it less human brutality and just more satire, a little more tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Now the other one, and I just said this to Danny before you came back, Clay, I'm honestly shocked you didn't bring this up. But again, most of mine are not comics. Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
One of the best post-apocalyptic worlds ever, So I love that world. I love the fact that it's even been revisited so many times, and each time there's something to explore there that speaks to our current human condition.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating world. And, obviously spoilers for one of the oldest movies I think we've ever talked about. But, the thing that's so great about the original movie is you don't realize it's post-apocalyptic until the very end.
Yeah.
Now the second
but then it started to advertise itself with that ending in the poster.
I know, which is just so weird. It's so weird, but I can kind of see it because by the time you get to Beneath, right, the second film, that is all about the post-apocalypse, right? You've got like the mutants that worship the nuclear bomb, and it's they're in the subway tunnels of New York. Like it feels much more like, say, Thundar the Barbarian than anything. Where you're in a post-apocalyptic world from our world. So yeah, I was saying earlier, I'm usually not a fan of this stuff because it's everything that you were speaking about with The Walking Dead, all that brutality of human nature. I don't want to spend time in that, but those are two worlds I do like too. So
yeah, the Planet of the Apes I love. If anything, I'm trying to think of the second Planet of the Apes in the Matt Reeves series where it shows like humanity is just clinging on. Like it has a society that's run by people. And it doesn't show that violence against each other as much as it does against the apes, because that's the key to it is these people could never find peace and are going to die because they can't stop fighting.
Yeah.
For me, it's like that moment because you recognize society as it is, and then you go and you watch that movie and you see Gary Oldman do this scene where they get the power turned back on.
Yeah.
And he has kept, all he's ever done is kept photos on his iPad. And so when that comes on and he sees his family again for the first time, that are all dead, but it's this like happy moment of like a time that's gone, and it's this nostalgia out of fear, because it's like we used to have it all. And now this is it. Like, it's just so heartbreaking. And to watch him do that scene with no dialogue is perfect.
Oh, man. Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch those because I think also all the Planet of the Apes movies did really well, both the original ones and the newer ones. I'm not counting the Burton. It doesn't exist.
I count the Burton because it's an anomaly. And it still fits within the time frame. It's just really weird that he would tie that ending to that movie. And you still have Tim Roth as a fucking, his thing. Like, he's still great. But you have weird monkey sex stance. You have Marky Mark and the Monkey Bunch.
Marky Mark and the Marky Bunch. But the thing I feel like all the films always did really well is they don't resort to binaries of good and bad. It's always very nuanced and very shades of gray. Now, typically there's one character that is that very clearly like bad person. Yeah. But for the most part, and again, this kind of goes to like the Oldman character in that second Reeves film, which is he's making some hard choices, right?
Right.
That we can interpret as bad, but if we see it through another perspective, it's good. And I always want to credit those movies for taking that tactic, right? Last one, again, not a comic, but our good buddy David Hopkins had just released his fantasy book, The Dryad's Crown. His first novel series is a post-apocalyptic series called Don't Wear Chainmail to the Apocalypse. And it's highly recommend. It's like 3 novellas that kind of all together tell this one story about a guy who when the book starts off, he worked in an office. It's all set kind of in this area. He worked in an office building, and he's basically been holed up in the upper stories of the office building during the zombie apocalypse because he's trapped there. But he also has like vending machines and stuff. But he realizes at the start of the book, he's running out of all that. So he's going to have to leave. And so he leaves, and he basically ends up getting, as he's about to get killed by a mob of zombies, ends up getting rescued by people that work at medieval times. And and they have access to horses. And so basically the next thing is getting access to the horses because they have heard of this place north of Austin where there is a compound that is protected from the zombies. So the whole book is them trying to get to that compound.
Waco?
And I'm sorry? Waco. No, in between Waco and Austin. So
okay.
Maybe Buda. I can't remember, honestly.
Yeah, they're trying to get to the Buc-ee's.
Which would have everything you need. Now that you say it, that's the perfect place to hole up. So anyway, it's a great book. David Hopkins, Don't Wear Chainmail to the Apocalypse.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I'd hole up at one of those East Texas kolache places.
Ooh, yeah, but there is a scene in a small gas station like that will make you not want to be in a small space. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna run through a couple of things here. These are not Marvel and DC. I think I talked about two of these last week, but they kind of still resonate. So first we have Know Your Station, which came out this week. The trade paperback came out this week. It's post-apocalyptic because the Earth is ruined, but I like the fact that the story is really happening on like this ship that all the millionaires ran off to in space, and then kind of what happens when someone starts killing the people on the ship, and you see all this through the point of view of one of the people that's like working there. So yeah, we don't really talk about what happened on Earth, but we still kind of like you still see it.
I read the first issue of this.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, this sounds very familiar.
At the shop this week. It's a little skull with a martini.
Yeah. I did. Okay. Yeah.
So highly recommend that. The other one I also talked about, and we got some videos on the channel for those, but Behold Behemoth. It's a book from Boom as well that kind of goes back and forth between the story of like this child and this I guess he's a social worker. They have a connection to some supernatural thing that's either going to bring up the end of the world or save the world. And they're trying to figure that out all throughout these first issues. It's really good. It's got Nick Robles art, so it's beautiful looking. So highly recommend that one. That one also came out this week. Very timely that both of those came out. And then we have, like I said, we have some videos on the channel about those. And then Clay, I'm gonna let you get back to yours because we do want to talk about this as well. But
okay,
DC's comics, Deceased, is just so much fun. Like Tom Taylor and then many different artists. They incorporate like what would happen in the DC universe with a zombie outbreak, but it's very different from Marvel zombies. I think they're both good on their own. Like the approach they take, it's very different. But they're both very good. They both spawn off many a series because of how much people enjoy them. So I would say both of those are great. So if you haven't gotten around to reading either one of those, I highly recommend. The world building is a lot of fun. The way that some of these characters survive is also very interesting. Like with the things they do. One of the series that Tom Taylor did is like all about some of the villains. Like it's called the Unkillables because it's all these villains that have like regenerative abilities, like that's like a healing factor, or what's his name? He's like a really weird guy that kind of looks like the Joker but has a red boa. The Creeper. Yeah. So I'm glad you guys were able to figure out who I was talking about for just that context. So, but
Clay, sorry, Danny, go ahead.
I was going to say those are some of the things I enjoy, on top of what kind of Clay's already touched on, and Josh as well. So,
Clay, I just thought of one that I'm honestly shocked did not come immediately to mind because we just reread it. 8 Billion Genies.
Oh
yeah.
Easily. So that for me, favorite post-apocalyptic comic. There,
yep.
Hard Eyes is good.
Via wishes.
Yeah,
I like that these are very like all these recent ones that we're talking about. It's very different than just The Walking Dead, right? Like, yeah, the world goes to shit, but that's not even the main part of the story.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Kind of like Clay mentioned, we want to know what happens after the movie comes to an end, right? And that's where you can really get creative and get like some new ideas, because obviously when The Walking Dead came out and it was a success, a cavalcade of all type of zombie books came out afterwards, and even media, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think 28 Days Later kind of jump started the zombie renaissance during that time period, because no one had seen zombies run and do this, have rage infections like they were showing in those films, and then to come out to do a sequel, and the opening scene of 28 Months Later is better than the whole fucking first movie. Like, you're watching Robert Carlyle run with fear in his eyes, and there are zombies chasing him, like running like fucking marathon runners after him, and it looks like he is about to just break as a human being. Like, it is terrifying, and it is so fast and bloody quick. It's just amazing.
And I know this. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was gonna say, I think that's why I struggle to think of stuff like, why didn't 8 Billion Genies come to mind immediately when we posed the theme for today? And I think it's because of 28 Days Later and The Walking Dead in particular. How often do we associate the post-apocalypse with zombies now? And so these other variations of it have almost gone.
There are many ways to destroy the world. We're doing
exactly. I mean,
we're taking the long way there.
Prior to George Romero, it was always nuclear annihilation. Look back at Planet of the Apes. Look at, it's like, that's what these things, or Fallout. That's what these things were. So.
I Am Legend, Last Man on Earth, it was always a virus.
Yeah.
The Last of Us.
Last of Us. Yeah.
But they still have, like, tent poles of society. People are still trying to, have commerce and have those kind of scenarios. There are very few films that are on that dark edge of, like, civilization is almost just gone. And one of my favorite movies is A Boy and His Dog from 1975.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Because that is the collapse of humanity. Like, there aren't societies left. There's one underground, and it's obviously like a very right-wing take on that society of keeping it American and keeping it like the good old days.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying. It's just like, they think, at one point, Don Johnson thinks, I've made this escape to this society, and it turns out it's horrific in the way he has to live there. So he tries to leave. It's he'd rather face the end of humanity than live with these people.
Right.
So,
oh my God.
in the chat, we have Canadian Survivalist saying heart attack by Image. First of all, be very careful when you Google that. But yeah, this looks cool. I don't think I was aware of that book.
Me either.
I'll go back and check to see if I wonder if they sent us something. I'll go back and check the files.
Look this up.
But it looks cool. Who's this by?
Oh God! By the way, don't Google Image heart attack. It's not.
You have to add the word comics.
Comic, yeah. No, let me do that.
It's written by Sean Kittleston and art by Eric Zawatsky and Mike Spicer.
Oh, Mike Spicer is a great colorist. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely put that on the list. Clay, do you want to hit on the last few you have?
Yeah. In the Age of Apocalypse, I just love that this is a very fashionable apocalypse. Like, everyone has like almost the Mad Max mentality mixed with colors of that time period, and you don't really get to see much of the destitute world as you get to see like these cool costumes that have evolved from it. It's just so weird, and I kind of love it because of its weirdness. Like, if the 90s were the last decade that was really good, and this is the only thing that came out of it.
That Cyclops costume is just, he's always been emo. Let's just run with it.
Yes. It is perfect 90s Cyclops.
Oh my God.
And in this world, he really is a Cyclops. He only has the one.
Yeah, he did. They did take the one eye out. So,
and Wolverine's got only one arm too. I mean, he's got one claw. The other one's gone.
Yeah.
Which why wouldn't you just put another claw there? Like, okay, let me bring this back up because we need to talk about that. This feels like a wasted opportunity.
I think later he does.
Okay, I was about to say, because if you already lost your hand, which includes your retractable claws, which also, how does it include your, like, how far do your claws?
Yeah.
Did you lose the claws while they were out? How there's a lot of logistics problems there.
Also, the important thing that survived the apocalypse is shampoo and hair care products. Because look at everyone. I mean, really, Rogue has the poofiest of hairs, but everyone does have stylized hair that's so great.
Emma obviously had a secondary or the tertiary mutation that allows her to just coil like a snake. So we can see both her butt and her boobs in the same pose.
Yeah.
Hey, then she's still rocking it even in the apocalypse.
That's right.
She's like, oh, it's a dirty future. I'm going to wear all white. The next one is a universe that has grown. We talked about it earlier, The Wasteland. I love Old Man Logan stories, Old Man Quill, Old Man Hawkeye. Ethan Sachs's stories are great. I know they took this The Wastelanders and did a podcast series with it. I've never heard it, but I love the comics. Like,
it's extensive. Like, there's the whole Doctor Doom season. Like, I haven't heard it, but I know it exists.
Yeah, and then you had each of these. There were some 4 set of standalone stories that were tied into the podcast. The Jeff Lemire run that I just talked about was 3 volumes that was post Secret Wars, where it was Old Man Logan coming to the 616. The Avengers of the Wasteland is an Ed Brisson story that was pretty fun, where there's a sense of hope of the Avengers coming together for the first time. But yeah, it's in the apocalypse.
The other day, I was tagging one of the creators of Kill Your Darlings, Ethan, and I accidentally tagged Ethan Sachs. But I think the mishap might have opened the door for us to invite him on the show, or at least have him on the channel, because I told him, sorry about the confusion. We do love your stuff, though. You're open. You're welcome to pop in whenever you want. And he said, just hit me up.
I need to get all the bounty hunter stuff. Once I've read that, then we can have him on, because I've read all his other stuff.
All right. Clock is ticking, Clay. Clock is ticking.
Well, it's tough. My library doesn't carry a whole lot of stuff. Like, I looked up Batman on Batman Day. They had 25 Batman books, and not one was a comic. It was novelizations adapted from the movie and kid books, like really small kid books, which was really
we're gonna get you a Marvel Unlimited subscription for your anniversary for next month.
That's aggravation. Marvel Unlimited is aggravation. I filled out one of their deals where they wanted to know what I thought of Marvel Unlimited, and I let them know. Like, it is shit. You don't have great scans. It's hard to read. It's not worth the money. And in the end, your Infinity Comics, they don't make the story better. So what the fuck? Like animating a page and then going, oh, it's worth this much a year. No, it's not. You just animated a page a little bit.
I wonder why Marvel won't respond to my emails about review copies.
The most of all the stuff that I thought of, I think the most iconic shot of the post-apocalyptic of comics is in Akira. Because you get that shit at the very beginning, and nothing is good after that. It's them trying to rebuild society there, and the travel to find Akira. Just that whole journey. Like, I didn't realize how much I was missing from the comics until this year when I read all 6 volumes. Like, I can't. Like, if you love the movie, like, get the comics. The comics give you so much more.
I think the movie's a good indicator if you're gonna like the rest of the story. But if you've seen the movie and you've enjoyed it, because it's a big commitment, and also you can't find it digitally, I think.
Yeah, that's so weird. How is that not happened?
Let me rephrase that. You can't legally find it digitally.
True. Well, is it stuck in some sort of like publishing rights here in the U.S. because of like Dark Horse did it originally?
I don't really know. But I know there's like this really cool thing that has all 10 volumes or whatever, however many they are, like this really cool collection.
Yeah.
And
so yeah,
weird.
okay.
Yeah.
I do. What's the name of the kid? What does he yell at the other one? Kaneda. Yeah, I love that.
And Tetsuo.
That scene, him just yelling Kaneda. Anyways, all right. I think that about covers a lot of our post-apocalyptic media. And
I mean, the only thing I'd add to is what Josh was talking about, the Planet of the Apes. If you're not reading the 20th century comics that Marvel's doing with David Walker, like he's doing that moment of societal collapse. Like the military is trying to keep the apes alive so that they can study to see what's making it successful for them to learn, and why everyone else is kind of falling to,
it's definitely tied into the last set of movies, right?
It is. But what I think is brilliant is I didn't realize how much I wanted and needed a story bridging the first film from the second and third, which are very tightly organized. And that's what this comic does. And it's really good. Really, really
and it's got multiple stories in there. So
I
you're not just reading one, like you're finding this one European ape who's becoming a strategist.
I love him.
And it's like,
I love him.
I didn't know I needed this, but I need
it. It's great.
And it follows Carmine what's this? Carmine.
You almost said Carmine Infantino.
Infantino, yeah. Like one of his
rules
for comic book covers is if you put an ape on it, it'll sell.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because it's been a long one.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye.
All right.
The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room. Right here. Right now. Salute, mi familia.
Salute. Thanks everyone for watching.
Loves you.
Oh yeah. Clay.
Hell, Bebo.
Josh.
Simon Center, get the fuck out.